Hi guys, Paul from UltimateFatBurner here, and today we're going to talk about creatine loading, and specifically whether or not it's necessary to load creatine to obtain the best results. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the term loading, it simply means we start supplementing with a fairly high dose for a relatively short time, usually around 20 to 25 grams per day to 5 to 7 days, before tapering the dosage down to a much lower dose. I'll tell you everything you need to know about creatine loading in just a couple of seconds. Stick around, I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Now, before I get started talking about creatine loading, 2 quick points. Number 1, when I say creatine, I'm talking about creatine monohydrate, which is the version of creatine that the vast majority of positive clinical studies have been performed upon. I'm not talking about any of the other versions currently being hyped in the marketplace. Number 2, I always support my arguments with facts. If you want to see the clinical references I use to support the arguments I make in this video, you can find them in the description below. All right, so let's talk about creatine loading and whether you need to load creatine for maximum effect. As I mentioned before the break, loading is the process of consuming a much higher dose for a short period of time before tapering that dose down to a much lower and manageable dose. Now, one of the reasons why creatine loading is recommended so often is that if you look at most of the clinical studies, you'll find the majority of them use a loading dose. So 5 days or so of 20 to 25 grams per day, and then down to 5 grams per day for the remainder of the study. Now, in the context of a clinical study, a loading dose makes a lot of sense because you only have a limited amount of time to study the effects of the supplement. Okay, Paul, what the hell does that mean? Well, let me step back a moment and explain why this is important. When you take creatine, what you are doing is saturating your muscle cells with it. And for peak performance, your muscles need to be fully saturated. So the quickest way to reach peak saturation so you'll get the full effect of the supplement as quickly as possible is with a loading phase. But since you and I are likely not participating in a clinical trial, do we really need a loading phase? After all, we probably don't need to reach peak muscle saturation overnight, do we? Well, here's the good news. Clinical data shows that lower doses, 5 grams per day or so, can be ingested over the long term without a short-term loading phase and still lead to significant performance enhancements. So to answer the question, do I need to load creatine? The answer is, it depends. If you want maximum effects as soon as possible, then yes. If you're okay with muscle saturation taking a little longer and waiting a little longer to achieve maximum effects, then no. If you're a stickler who wants to go by the book, by most of what the clinical studies do, then you'll want to use a loading phase. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Really hope you enjoyed the video. Please give me a thumbs up if you can, and do share it and comment on it. That would be awesome. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, I would love it if you did. It would really help me out. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again really soon.